Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, Bambino. It's Thursday, and that means it's time for this week's Top 3 Thursday, baby. So we are going to look at my top 3 worst games in my collection. Okay, and I'll probably explain why they're still in my collection. Looking at it, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on my honourable mentions, but my top 3, if you're new to the channel, stick around. If you've clicked on this video by accident, stick around. You might like it. You probably won't, but you might like it. You never know. I always do honourable mentions. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 honourable mentions. Then we get into my top 3. Okay, and most of the games are older games. Looking at it, I got 1 PS4 game as an honourable mention. I have played quite a few bad games on the PS4 and the PS5. But they're not in my collection because they're bad games. They've got a bit more value to them, so I trade them in straight away. I wouldn't say, like, for example, like Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It's not a bad game, it just wasn't for me. Another one would be Origami 2 maybe, and that was a bad game, so I traded it in straight away, you know. So I've got, give you a little spoiler then, I've got a PS4 game, I've got a PS2 game, I've got Xbox games, I've got Master System games, and we've got a PlayStation game, okay? So we shall get into it, okay? Let me know what's your top 3 worst games in your collection. And I'll try to explain why I've still got them in my collection, but basically it'll be, I won't get what they're worth, or I won't get what I paid for them back, you know. So these are in no particular order. These are going to be my honourable men. Sorry, my hoodie. I just chucked my hoodie on, and it's not right. See, I got on my chair. It's got this fucking cushion thing, and it's pushing my hoodie up. I know I'm on a fashion disaster. In no particular order. Sorry about that sidetrack. This is a very disappointing game, okay? I didn't have this growing up, but I always wanted this game. As soon as I saw the advert. It's Mortal Kombat on the Sega Master System. It's almost so bad it's good, but I paid quite a bit of money for this. I paid well over the odds for it, I think. No, sorry, that was Mortal Kombat 2. I paid a lot of money for Mortal Kombat 2. I paid $14.99 for this in Retribution in Llanelli. There's a massive difference, put it this way, between Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2 on the Master System. Mortal Kombat 2 on the Master System is one of my favourite games on the system, you know. But I'm not going to trade it in, but like you can play, well, Goro's in it, let's say. It's not a very good port. It's a very weak port, actually. I'd give this game like a 6 out of 10. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh having it on as an honourable mention, you know. Some people, I think, like the game, but it's not for me. It's nowhere near as good. Mortal Kombat 2 is so much better. That's definitely the weak link in my Mortal Kombat collection. Another game, this is almost so bad it's good as well. I do enjoy it. So I haven't had it that long. It's Star Wars Masters of Teräs Käsi. I like to go as those like green pig things from Jabba the Hutt's palace in Return of the Jedi. This franchise rather, it's got so much potential. Like, imagine the makers, I've said this before, this is my belief, imagine how good a Star Wars fighting game could be if they give it to the makers of Soul Calibur. And the reason I say Soul Calibur is because Soul Calibur 4, You can play as Yoda, you can play as Starkiller, and you can play as Darth Vader, or Vader Darth as he lets me call him. If you didn't know, I went to school with Vader Darth. I sat next to him in maths. Random stat for you. So getting back to this game, it's alright. It's definitely, I wouldn't, maybe it is for Star Wars fans. If you just like your fighting games, I probably wouldn't recommend it, because I like my fighting games and I'm a big fan of the Star Wars universe. Then yeah, maybe see what you think, but don't pay a lot for it. I think I paid £12 for it, if I remember right. And I had a voucher as well. I traded some stuff in, and I think I made a profit. Sometimes I buy games and I make more money trading them in to CEX. I know quite a few people do YouTube channels based on that, don't they? So I made a profit. So technically, out of my profits, it didn't really cost me anything. You can argue this was a free game, you know. This game is terrible. Okay, Tao Feng Fist of the Lotus. Oh, it looks okay. I wouldn't say it looks really good, but I remember picking it up. Where does it say? Yeah, on the front, look there. I'll read that to you. It says, from the co-creator of Mortal Kombat. And you think, okay, that's what drew me to it. And the other thing that drew me to this game was only on Xbox. I remember seeing this game when it was released back in the day. I haven't said that for a while. Back in the day, I'll say it twice. Yeah, so I do remember seeing it on the magazine. I think it was quite a bit of hype. It was on the cover of some of the Xbox magazines. And yeah, do you know what? Looking at the screenshots on the back, it looks pretty good. But it's fucking terrible. And it says, from the co-creator of Mortal Kombat. I don't know, are they talking about... They could be talking about anyone. It could be the cleaner, the person that did the fucking bins or something in the Mortal Kombat studio. I don't know. But my expectation with the stamp, it's like a stamp of quality normally, only on Xbox. There aren't many bad only on Xbox games. There's a lot more brilliant than bad only on Xbox games. And with the link to Mortal Kombat, and it's like a lot of things going 3D back then. It's just like a kind of a cheap knockoff Tekken clone. Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 were much better than this game. Yeah, I was very disappointed with this. I don't recommend it. But maybe if you want to have a laugh with your mates, if you've got friends, you can do couch co-op. Yeah, 1 or 2 players. Sports the arcade stick. Yeah, so if you're going to have a couple of beers, I don't drink, but if you're going to have a couple of beers with your mates, I can see maybe you'll have a nice tournament or something if you've got a bit of a sense of humour with these things. But there's a lot more better games out there than that. Holy shit, this is a bad game now. Almost gonna make. Yeah, I'm thinking now. Maybe shall I chuck this in my top 3? No, I'll stick it in. I'm locking my answers in. I'm locking them in. Fighting Fury. And the weird thing I always remember with this game, this guy, I don't know if I got it on the wrong mode. He's there with his fucking what do they call those posh clothes the like karate people wear? Let me know in the comment. The pajamas, like, you know. I don't think they're actually pajamas. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Any karate experts out there? Don't shout to me though. I'm not taking the piss out of you. But yeah, he's got clothes on there basically. And in the game, he's got not even pants. Do you know, like those tie fucking... They tie those like... Looks like he's rolled a towel up. And he's wearing that as pants. It's quite weird. And I'll never forget. It's kind of the early... I don't know though, because Tekken 1, 2 and Tekken 3, thinking about it. Now that's... If we're comparing this game should be a lot better than Tekken 2, let's say. Okay, because it came out a lot later than that. But it plays like a very first early like 3D fighting game. I'm quite confident. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Oh, it's my dog, my elephant dog running down the stairs. Sorry about that if you heard that. The mechanics, it's like, for example, his leg, it's not meant to be like a Dalsim leg. He'll kick, and his leg just grows. It's out of proportion when the kick animation, and yeah, he can be really far back, and his leg, it's like really out of proportion, then it goes back to normal size leg. It's very bizarre. I think it might be based off, or maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, it gave me the vibe that it might have been based off an anime around about that time. It gave me that vibe. I've never heard of it or anything like that, but Fighting Fury, give me, like, I saw it in the shop. I tell you, I think I paid 49p for this. If I paid 50 pence, I'd feel ripped off. But 49 pence, yeah, it's probably worth 49p, you know. I don't recommend it, though. It's a junk game, and because I only paid 49p, I think CX probably give me a penny or 10 pence, so it's better off in my collection, you know. And maybe one day I might have the itch to punish myself or have a party or something. That'll be the day. Yeah, maybe I want to do some videos or something with the YouTube channel with you guys about the shit games, just to show you how bad these games. And I tell you what, looking at my top 3, my number 1 game, right, is a terrible game. Okay, it's unplayable. That's how bad it is, right? But yeah, so that was Fighting Fury. And my last honourable mention, it's a lot better than the other games, but maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I've only ever played it once, and I played it on episode 1 of Around the World with 80 Fighting Games. That was Omen of Sorrow. If I'm being honest, my expectations were way too high on this. I made the mistake. There's quite a few, actually, in my defense. There's quite a few positive YouTube reviews. Normally, I just go to my trusted YouTube channels when I'm doing a review. When I want to find out before I buy a game. It only cost me $11.99 on Amazon. It was on my watch list, I think, for something like 12 months. But then I made the mistake one day. I was just reading all the Amazon reviews, and they were saying this is amazing, it's the best fighting game I've ever played. And I'm thinking, what fighting games have you been playing? But it really, visually, it gave me, like, you know, it's like you got like your Morrigan characters, vampires and that kind of thing, you know, and Dimitri kind of characters. So obviously it's going to give me, based on the characters, Darkstalkers vibes, okay? But with the, like, more realistic graphics, okay, art style, it gave me Mortal Kombat, or even, dare I say, Primal Rage vibes. And that's an insult to all those games I've just recommended, I've just compared it to, or said the vibes it gives me, you know. It's terrible. Maybe that's harsh, though. Maybe I haven't traded it in. I don't know. Maybe I'll get my money back for it if I trade it in. But there's something there, you know. It had a bit of a story mode, which was terrible. But I can't remember who I even went as, you know. It didn't leave any impression, but it's more negative things. But it must be something there. Maybe I'll go back to it. I'll definitely go back to it. I don't think it takes up a lot of space on the hard drive. 7 gig. So, yeah, it's not like a fucking Tekken that takes up 50 gig, you know. Yeah, so from my one playthrough on it, I think I played it for about 20-30 minutes. Nothing really impressed me. Visually, it was quite good graphics. Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, alright graphics, let's say. But there's a lot better fighting games out there. I think you can get, for example, if I pay 12 quid for this, I think Soul Calibur 6 is around about the same price. It's like, fuck, chaka, stick with Soul Calibur 6. There's so many. That's the first game that came to mind, you know. But, yeah, I do not recommend that game. It's worth £5. Maybe it's worth £4.50. If you see it for £4.50, yeah, I'd recommend it. Okay, then. Whew. One of these games. Yeah, so we're going into my top 3 now, okay? One of these games I've had in my collection since we had my Sega Master System 2 in the late 80s, early 90s, I want to say. I can't remember. 1990 this game came out, Lucasfilm. Okay, this game is fucking terrible. okay? And growing up, I loved video games, as I'm sure a load of you do. Anyone that watches this channel, we're gamers at the end of the day, aren't we? That's what you're here for. I've always loved video games from the moment, like especially the Sega Master System. There's something about that console. It's my first console. I had a Toshiba MSX, then I had a Commodore 64, but this is my first games console, and I much prefer this to those two computers, okay? So the game that is my number 3 worst game that's still in my collection is Indy/Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I got so much nostalgia attached to it though, right? The music is like it transports me back to the 90s, okay? So it was Christmas, it must have been 1991 maybe we had it, maybe earlier, maybe 1991 I think we had the Master System. It was like a joint present between me and my older brother. I was lucky enough it was in my bedroom though, and we had a 14-inch, I think it was Matsui 14-inch colour telly. And I could play this all day, the Master System. It had Alex Kidd in Miracle World built in, thank God, and this was the only other game. This is my first ever physical game that we owned, okay? I think we never asked for it. I think we must have written to Santa or whatever. Maybe we were at that age, we maybe still believed in Father Christmas. But we loved Indiana Jones, as again, I'm sure a lot of you guys did back in the 90s. This is actually my favourite Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't like the first one because of the spiders at the beginning. I can't. Someone showed me a photograph of a spider in work today. I know for a fact when I tried to fall asleep tonight, I closed my eyes and boom, I'm going to see that photo. It was a photo of a massive spider that was taken in work where I work, so that fucker is in there somewhere. It's a nice thought, isn't it? I might have to fucking burn the building down. It's the only thing. What else can I do? Or get a job somewhere else maybe, because I can't work with spiders, trust me. Anyway, going back to this game, it's a mess, okay? But it was like, Alex Kidd is a great game, right? It's a classic, isn't it? It's got a cult following, let's say, and it was built in, I'm assuming, because it was such a good game, it was built in to sell more Sega Master System consoles, wasn't it? So we loved that game. So we put this in as well, and it was like, oh wow, Indiana Jones, and you can play as Indy. I'm not sure, like maybe that level there is the first level. I remember it being like grey, bluey colours, and he's got the whip. I think you can only use the whip so many times. You can only hardly any bullets. Then it was like you walk off a ledge and think, okay, I'll drop down here. So you drop down and you die. So you're supposed to jump on the rope and climb down. But then it's inconsistent where sometimes you can drop down, there's no rope, and you think, well, what am I supposed to do? So you drop down and he's fine. And you think, well, hang on, surely 25 seconds ago I was the same kind of size ledge, but I died because I didn't go down the rope. So it's very inconsistent. I don't think we ever got past the second level on it. The second level is, do you remember the movie? He's on top of the train and he's jumping around having a chase, but basically you start off the back of the train, you got to get to the front of the train, and there's like giraffes' heads coming up and down. You got to time the jump. But again, Indiana Jones, he doesn't, like an Alex Kidd, Sonic, Mario, those games, he jumps because it's a video game. They say, I think it doesn't know if it wants to be a video game or if it's too realistic. He hardly jumps. It's like, fuck, really? His jump is so bad. Sometimes there's giraffes coming up and down, and then sometimes there's like rhino horns coming up and down. You can't even jump over a rhino horn. It's like, it's a mess of a game. But because I'm never going to sell it, because it is one of the original games. It's got Evans with my surname written on the back there. Maybe I will give it a go. Maybe I'll do like a New Year's resolution that I'm going to finish this game. And just like, I'm looking for that, see. I'm tempted to get into speedrunning just for the fun of it. I'm not going to say I'm going to be a world record holder and anything. But I think I want to set a challenge. I'm looking for like a game in my collection. Ideally be a good game. But it would be nice to finish one of the original 7. I call it the original 7. I've still got my original 7 Master System games in my collection that I had from back in the day. So maybe I'll pick one of them and just get really, really good. Play it like every Saturday morning. Right, what have I got to do? I've got to play it like every single Saturday until I fucking finish it or something like that, you know. Maybe that'll be the game. Maybe. Yeah, let me know. What do you reckon? Should I fucking master indie on the Master System? So yeah, so that's my number 3, okay? My number 2 is another Master System game, but it's a recent Master System game. And it is Shit Fighter. Oh, sorry, I pronounced it wrong. It's Pit Fighter. Should be called Shit Fighter. A funny thing with this, the arcade version's pretty good. I've got the arcade version on the Xbox 360. And I gotta be honest, I really enjoyed that. But my expectation was really low, because this is the one I played growing up was the Super Nintendo version. I think I have told this story on my channel once or twice before, but I'll do a summary of it. There was a kid in my class in school, bit of a weirdo, and he came up to me one day and he said, I've got Street Fighter, do you want to come over to my house tomorrow? He used to ask me to go, and I wasn't interested. I'd want to go home and play. I had loads of friends. He didn't live quite in my neighbourhood kind of thing, on my street. So yes, yeah, he's asking me, no, I'm alright, thank you. No, I don't want to come up. No, I don't like you. Or whatever I was like back then, you know. And then one day he came up to me and said, I've got Street Fighter. And I was like, you got Street Fighter on the Super Nintendo? Do you remember Street Fighter 2? Back in the day, right? I remember it in the Argos catalogue, it was £75 or maybe £74.99. It was so much. No, that's Street Fighter 2 Turbo, actually, right? So it was like a myth. It was like the holy grail of games. And this guy said, yeah, I've got Street Fighter. And he wasn't the most brightest kid in my class, put it that way, right? So you can probably tell where this is going. So I said, yeah, you'll be my friend. And I spoke to him all day in school that day. I went home. I said to my mum, can I go over to this person's house? He lived right by the school as well. No. Yeah, he did. He lived by the school. He did live down by the park, but then he moved. That's right. So he'd had this new house. And I said, yeah, okay. My mum said, yeah, no problems. You can go over there, no problem. I think she knew his parents. And then I'm going, oh my God, we're going to play Street Fighter. And I knew, I should have known something was up. I was like, so who's I was asking him stuff like Ryu or whatever, and the monster with the green skin. And we were talking, and he was going, yeah. And I was thinking, well, he wouldn't be lying to me, because he knows I'm coming over his house tonight to play Street Fighter, you know. And he didn't say Street Fighter 2 in his defence. He said Street Fighter. So I got there now, and he said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to play out the back in the garden? I says, no, let's put the Super Nintendo on. And bear in mind, I had a Master System at the time, and the Super Nintendo was a massive step up, wasn't it? In graphics, sound, everything. It was the next generation, wasn't it? And only a couple of people in my class had them. He had it straight away, if I remember right. And so he said, oh yeah, pick what game you want. And I'm looking for Street Fighter, and I was like, oh, Pit Fighter. And I said, I thought, where's Street Fighter? And he goes, there. And he pulled his fucking Pit Fighter, wasn't it? And I was like, ah. And I looked on the back, right? And I thought the graphics were pretty good, right? I'm not sure what they were called. They kind of wasn't as good as Mortal Kombat, but I think they were trying to do that kind of graphics where they had like photorealistic graphics kind of thing. You put it on, and we just both looked. He goes, you don't like it, and I said, nah, I just wanted to go home. I can't remember what other games he had. And maybe he had Mario. I liked Mario World. I think everyone had Mario. I think I was free with it, or was in the box with it rather, wasn't I? It was when I had my Super Nintendo a couple of years later. But yeah, so Pit Fighter, terrible game. It was bad it's good. The arcade version is good. Super Nintendo, not so much. But this is a shit game, okay? That's why I call it Shit Fighter, right? Terrible graphics. It's almost Commodore 64 graphics. not the best colours. The fighting characters are way too small. The stages are way too big. You can walk, like go for a walk. It's almost like, maybe I'm exaggerating, like a Streets of Rage size fucking stage. But you're fighting one opponent. I think it's got the crowds where if you get too close to the crowd, I do like that mechanic. Where like a woman might come out and stab you or something like that. So you're not supposed to get too close to the crowd. And it is hard. It is hard with the Sega Master System because it's only got 2 buttons, isn't it? So it is... Fighting games don't really work like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2 does a very good job with it, mind. But like I know in the Mega Drive you had to press start or select or something to change from punching and kicking. That was bad enough. But there's literally only 2 buttons on the Sega Master System control pad. So they're up against it anyway, aren't they? I tell you what, Street Fighter 2, there is a Street Fighter 2 on the Sega Master System. I'm pretty sure it's a Brazil exclusive though. That's my holiest. I was talking to my imaginary friend Chris the other day. I haven't really got any holy grails to pick up this year, but thinking about it, I don't know how many of them exist in the country anyway. I'm not even sure if they'll work on our Master Systems over here. I don't know, but... yeah, going back to this, this is a shit game. I did play it. I don't think I played it on my series Around the World of 80 Fighting Games. I just think I did a video of this is terrible. And I was filming it. So I thought, yeah, I'll upload that to the old YouTube, Rubbish game. I wouldn't say it's not so bad. It's just so bad. It's bad, basically, okay? Now then, this game, but... And every other game I talked about, right, they're playable, all right? You can put the time in and you can get good at these games, all right? That'd be boring as fuck, but that could be the more I think about it, the more I think I might challenge myself. It might be that game, But this game was a mess, okay? There's a massive clue that it could be a mess on the cover. So the game is Fightbox. At a glance, it looks okay, all right? It looks maybe like an early PS2 graphics. But what Tekken? Was it Tekken Tag came out on a launch? I think it was Tekken Tag was a launch title, wasn't it, for the PS2? That's so impressive when you think about it, when you look how bad these games were. But there's something on the cover, can you spot it? That should have told me this is going to be a shit show. It's there. This game is made by the BBC. What the fuck? Why are the BBC trying to make a fighting game? It's unplayable as well, but I couldn't play it anyway. The BBC they're an embarrassment. It's absolute, and they want people to pay for it, do you know what I mean? There's nothing on the BBC that I ever want to watch. That's why I don't watch telly. But yeah, so getting back to this game, I thought, just by look, I really do like the cover though, right? I gotta be honest. It reminds me, I think the movie's called Arena, okay? And I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's definitely worth checking out, right? It's like where monsters, aliens fight. I think they're on like a space station or something. And there's like a thing above it. That's what that gives me, the vibes. That you've got like, you've got the same strength. So there's a human fighter, but he's fighting these massive monsters, but they've got the same strength. Like he might be fighting somewhere like 4 or 8 arms from another planet. That could be a lot stronger than him. But this thing beams down a thing to drain their strength, so it's more fair. The fights and stuff. I really enjoyed that film growing up, right? And I thought, oh wow, it's going to be like Arena. Because trust me, that's like the cover of the movie Arena, okay? But it literally started, you select your character. I think the character select screen was a joke. I can't remember how many characters. I filmed this, right, it was one of the episodes I was going to do for Around the World of 80 Fighting Games. And if anyone's watched any of them, my intro was, I'd read through, say we'd like when I did the 80th episode, I'd say, so far we've played, I go, Ominous Horror, Garrett Mark those. I go through every single, it's mad, I still remember that. I'd read off every single game we played, so like, episode 30, I'd read 29, so episode 80, I read 79. So I think this would have been in the 50s, like episode 50. So I did my usual intro, I'd read the 50 odd fucking games, put this on, and I couldn't even get into the ring to fight. That's how bad this game is. I started off, it was like I had to walk to the ring. I thought, that's interesting, like a spiral thing around the ring. And it was like, it was terrible controls. I like instantly started walking into the wall like that, and it was like, what the fuck? Then there was like fire coming out and stopping, then fire. So I lost half my health, got past him, and I thought it was a guy at the top. Like he looked like a referee or something. He was standing like right before I got to the ring, and I touched him. I thought he was gonna talk to me or something, and I instantly died just by walking into him. I thought, nope, I'm out. This game is a fucking disaster. Okay, and the reason I've still got it is I don't believe in throwing games in the bin, but it's worthless. It's not worth anything. If you pay 10 pence for this game, you're wasting your 10 pence, okay? It's a piece of junk. This is by miles the worst game I've got in my collection, and thinking about it, I've played some bad games in my time. This is the worst game I've ever played. I would love to play that over that, do you know what I mean? Yeah, this is a fucking shit show. Let me tell you. Any fans of Fightbox? Shout to me in the comments. What do you think of it, you know? Obviously, I'm not a fucking fan of it, you know? So, yeah, that's gonna cut it off there. Thanks for joining me on this week's Top 3 Thursday, Bambino. Please Hadouken that subscribe button. I will love you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Love you. Goodbye.